I'm Brian Elliott. Welcome to another edition of Behind the Brand. Today I'm here live at CES in the Panasonic Creator booth with Editor-in-Chief of Engadget, Michael Gorman. Michael, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. It's very good to be here.
How'd you get this job, Michael?
So I got this job coincidentally because I got fired from an old job, or laid off, I should say. At the time, back in 2010, I was a practicing attorney and got laid off. It was kind of in the trough of the pretty bad economic place. And I looked at, I'd gone to law school, had studied law, and after practicing for a little while, I wasn't really sure if that's what I wanted to keep doing. And Engadget posted on the website saying they were looking for editors in the Bay Area. Sent in some writing samples, went through a couple of other interview things with the editors at the time, and I ended up getting hired on as a freelancer.
Locked it down, yeah.
Yeah. So I consider myself very fortunate to be here 5 years later on the editor.
And they put you in charge.
Yep, they gave me the keys.
We're here in this garage atmosphere. A lot of great companies have started in a garage.
Yep.
It's sort of the inspirational spot, whether it's your bedroom or garage.
Yep.
What advice would you give to content creators, people that are writing the written word or making videos, just getting started?
I think the first thing is just to, there's two things actually. One, write a lot or create. Like creating, it's a muscle. It's like anything else. The more you do it, the better feel you get for it. You find your voice, and that's really when you start to hit your stride, is if you kind of just figure out what works for you. And the only way you do that is to write. And the other thing that can help you along the way is to read good writers or to watch good video. Watch the best, emulate the best. The more you do that, you'll pick up the things that make them successful and the stuff that you like that you can take and work into your own stuff. And that's really, I think, the keys to help you out.
That's good advice.
Yep.
Who inspires you?
Who inspires
So who
you?
are you reading? Who are you watching?
So I've been reading a lot lately. I've actually been reading a lot of science fiction. I've been reading the Dune books, which is very inspirational to me. It's such a complex piece. It's so well written. It's so thoroughly researched, which is what really appeals to me, kind of for fun. Of course, in the industry, I've got a lot of really talented people that work for me on my staff. I've got 30 editors that are around the globe, and we've assembled a really talented team, and they surprise me on a weekly basis with the quality of work that they do.
How about outside the industry? So who, are you looking, watching what Jack Dorsey's doing, or some of these industry leaders?
Well, I'm always watching what the industry leaders do, and that's always helpful to me to kind of pick up kind of advice for how to manage a staff and just run the publication, what things we need to pay attention to. As far as writing goes, like journalists, I really enjoy Charles Pierce. He used to write for Grantland, which is now a defunct, but he's one of the most talented kind of journalist writers. He does really good stuff in sports and weaves in important themes in his work, which is something that we try to do. It's all about both entertaining and informing the public, and I think he does an excellent job of kind of bringing attention to issues that otherwise might not be getting it.
Let's focus on Engadget for a second. So
Sure.
What's keeping you up at night? Who's the audience and what do they care about? And, two of the most elusive pieces of currency or assets right now are trust and attention.
Yep.
How do you keep both of those?
So you're absolutely right. Trust is one of the most, that does keep me up at night. That is a huge focus for me and my staff. And the way you keep that is staying true to the brand and being honest.
What is the brand?
So the brand right now, we are a technology and culture publication. I know, for a long time we were very focused on just kind of gadgets, right? But technology is so much more than that.
Yeah.
And in the past 2 years, basically, when I took over as editor-in-chief 2 years ago, we shifted the focus to kind of writing about all aspects of technology. It's not just about laptops and phones. It's also about how it's affecting culture, sexuality, social media, all of these things. Everybody's familiar with technology. Everybody's got a phone in their pocket now.
Yeah.
So it's something that can appeal to a much wider audience. Our core audience is and always will be, people that are super into the industry and are, early adopters, really focused on the technology. But I think that our audience has just kind of expanded as the industry has, because so many more people are familiar with it. And if we're doing our jobs well, we are writing stuff that both informs the people that are hardcore readers, but also making it approachable and understandable in a way for kind of that broader audience that's just now getting interested.
Where are you getting the most engagement? Obviously the website's sort of the end all be all,
Yep,
but
yep.
you've got all these probably outposts on
We do.
different social platforms. Where are you seeing the most action?
So Facebook, like everybody else, a lot of people kind of come to us through Facebook. We also have a really large following on Flipboard. And of course we do stuff on Twitter, Instagram. I think engagement though, on site really is the biggest one. We have a vibrant comment community. We also have public access, which is a kind of a place where people can contribute to the website and publish on Engadget, which is something that we're growing as well.
Let's talk about Facebook for a second. So
Yep.
are you uploading video to Facebook?
We are. We upload video natively to Facebook and to Twitter.
Okay, and are you creating content especially for certain platforms? You know, are you repurposing the video you shot 15 seconds for Instagram or what?
So we do both. We repurpose, we chop it up because obviously you've got to make it the right kind of attention span and what fits for the different platforms. So we certainly pay attention to that. We also do very specific strategies for each one of the social networks. So you have to work one way on Facebook, another on Twitter, another on Snapchat.
Yeah, and do you have dedicated editors for that or producers? Or are they in-house? Are they freelance?
So we have a video team that handles the video stuff, and they work with our social media editor, and she kind of runs the high-level strategy for each one of those channels.
Okay.
And then our editors, of course, on the ground participate in each one of those channels with direction from our social.
What are you doing on YouTube?
YouTube, so right now we've got basically, we publish on YouTube the same things that we do on site. So at AOL, we have our AOL On player that we use for everything that we publish on the site.
Okay.
But we also have everything that we do on those videos. We put them in YouTube. We also are live streaming from the stage on YouTube as well.
How important now, kind of going into, I don't know, phase 3 of the internet, you know, if there's such a thing, how important is this higher production value? Or are you seeing any change at all? Are there diminishing returns or?
There certainly can be diminishing returns, right? You've got to strike a balance. I do think that quality is extremely important, and that's been a focus of mine since I took over. You know, you still have to be fast because we are in a news business, but quality is what helps you stand out. And this doesn't mean that you're doing like cinematic masterpieces or anything like that. You know, we're still doing mostly 3 to 5 minute videos in particular there, but the quality is something that our readers come to us for. I think that's what gives it appeal to the larger audience. You know, that production value is very important to our brand and to kind of help us stand out from our competitors.
Are you, instead of maybe adapting, what you've written, are you thinking about original content? You know, other publishers are creating story-driven kind of content, episodic. Are you thinking along those lines?
We don't do a lot of episodic stuff, though. I mean, we do videos, so we have like a daily show that we do every day. We've got other weeklies and monthly shows that we're doing in video. We do some episodic written content as well, but really most of it is focused on original reporting. That's been another kind of push that we've been growing. So before I took over 2 years ago, we had there was a gradual decline in our traffic. And I knew that for us to turn that around, we needed to focus on bringing something that you couldn't get anywhere else. And like I said, I've got this team of talented people, and it was just a matter of empowering them and really having them focus on telling stories that no one else is doing. So we've been, and with our kind of shift in focus to kind of cover the industry in a broader range, there's so many more interesting stories to tell. It's not all about like the Facebook feed changes or a new iPhone. That's still part of our coverage, but there's so many more opportunities to write interesting stories about how it's affecting us in culture and entertainment and sex and all these things as well.
Are you focused on, I hate to even use millennials as a term because I'm so tired of it, but clearly other publishers, I think Mashable comes to mind, a very clear shift to, teenagers and 20-somethings.
Sure.
Are you guys focused on that at all? And if so, how are you doing it and what's changing?
So I wouldn't say it's a purposeful goal for us. It's not like we have meetings where I'm saying we've got to figure out the millennial
What
audience.
do the young people want?
We don't work that way. I mean, traditionally we've kind of had that audience, at least, college age, high school age.
On the gadget side.
Yeah, that's we're fortunate enough that in the technology world, that's something that young people are very interested in, right? So we've already had that. For us, it's really about refining that and figuring out better ways to engage with those people. It doesn't really shift the way we approach the stories that we write. The focus is very much telling stories that we find interesting. That's kind of been the guiding principle. Like, if we think it's cool, the audience has been very receptive to that. So that's kind of how we go about it.
So you're out there leading the way with content, saying this is what you should be paying attention to.
Right. It's like we take feedback and we certainly pay attention to what posts do well, but I also think it's our job to kind of bring new things to the table.
Okay.
And that's why people come to us.
Other segments, what do you think a lot of publishers are doing wrong right now? And maybe talk about from some of your experiences. Hindsight's easier to talk about after it's done, right?
Well, I think that just to touch on what we were just speaking about, I think it's dangerous to get too focused on like focus groups dictating how you operate, because I think that it makes it difficult to kind of have an identity, because you're going to be shifting according to the whims. And also, I think the best work comes when you empower the people that work for you to write about stuff that they're interested in.
Well, that's interesting. So are you? Your website gets a lot of comments and feedback. Are you not reading the comments? And
we do read the comments.
Are you filtering it, or?
We do. We filter it. So we take it with a grain of salt. Comments are not the be-all, end-all. Oftentimes, the commenters, you would think it was the worst story in the world, and then you look at the traffic, and it's doing very well. The danger of focusing too much on comments is that that's only a small fraction, kind of the vocal minority that's coming through. So we pay attention, certainly, especially if they're pointing out that we got something factually wrong. We're always on the lookout for that. We need to fix it immediately. As far as kind of guiding principles, I take that into account, but it's only one factor among many when I'm looking at where our editorial direction needs to go. I value the opinion of my staff far more than I do, the commenters.
So, you probably have to answer to someone, and we all answer to someone somewhere.
Of course.
What should the metrics of success be? Like, what are those success measurements that we should be looking at? So, if it's not, sunshine and bubbles in the comments,
So, for us, the main metric is audience growth. We want more people coming to the site.
So it's traffic.
Yep, traffic is the main driver, certainly for the business. We're an ad-supported business, so that's a big portion of what the focus has to be. For my staff, though, we pay attention to traffic. Certainly, that's important. We need to be writing stuff that people want to read, right? But the quality of the work is something that's extremely important to me, and it needs to be something that we can be proud of. So that's kind of a more anecdotal thing. It's not really something you can focus on.
Measure.
It is. It is difficult to measure. Traffic's easy, but if my writers are proud of it and I read it and I think it's interesting, and certainly you always find your niche audience. And if we get a writer, occasionally we'll get emails or comments that says this is brilliant. I wish you guys would do more of that. That's always very satisfying. And if we're hitting on those notes, then I know that we're resonating with the audience, and that's what we need to do.
So a lot of people watch the show that are creators and they're aspiring writers or whatnot. Look in this camera maybe and give some advice to someone who's been writing or creating video and they're just not getting traction.
Sure.
I kind of want to know, when do you cut bait? When do you change direction? How long do you give this great idea until you go get a real job, right?
Well, I think conviction is exceedingly important, and you need to have the conviction in your work. It's something that I believe in very strongly, and if you have a vision with it, you need to stick with it. I think that doesn't mean you don't try to refine it, and you certainly need to be open to suggestions and kind of shifting if you need to. But if you believe in it, you need to stick with it, because there's a reason that you feel strongly about that. And if you are creative and you have a creative vision, it's really not something that you should allow anyone to change unless it's something that you believe in. As long as you still have the conviction, it's, flexibility is good. I'm a big fan of the Bruce Lee philosophy. You must be like water and flow and change as kind of your environment dictates. But it's also very important to believe in yourself and have the strength of your own convictions. That's the only way I've ever been able to be successful. And if you have a vision, you really have to have the conviction to carry it through.
Awesome. All right, we've been spending a little time with Michael Gorman, editor-in-chief at Engadget. Mike, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Right on.